Assalamu alaikum students, hope you are fine. This is history and the chapter is the decline of Mughal Empire and the topic we are going to discuss today is the early Mughals. The decline of Mughal Empire is a very important topic in which we will learn that how the Mughal Empire declined and what were the reasons behind the decline of Mughal Empire. But today we will study the background of the Mughal Empire, that how the Mughal Empire was founded and who were the early Mughals who founded the Mughal Empire. And the Mughal Empire was in its glorious position when the early Mughals were ruling. But this glory of Mughal Empire was faded, and then when the later Mughal came after the early Mughals, then the Mughal Empire was in its worst condition. Here we see the background of the early Mughals. The Mughal Empire was founded by Emperor Zahiruddin Babur, whose complete name was Zahiruddin Babur, and he was a descendant of Genghis Khan and Taimurlang, the people from Mongolia. They were Mongols, and the governor of Lahore, Daulat Khan Lodi, had invited Babur from Kabul to overthrow the government of Ibrahim Lodi. Then there was a battle at Panipat in which Ibrahim Lodi was defeated by Babur, and then in 1526 Zahiruddin Babur founded the Mughal Empire in India, and then it was the beginning of the Mughal Empire in India in 1526. Besides this, Babur also went to some expeditions and he also defeated the Rajput army. This was a big achievement which he did in 1527, and he then defeated the Afghan princes of Bengal and Bihar, and it was in 1529. Unfortunately, Babur fell ill, and in 1530, Babur died without organizing the vast Mughal Empire because he did not have much time to organize this Mughal Empire. And after the death of Babur, his son Humayun became the emperor. But when Babur was dying, he left his will, his some of the points which he believed or which he wished that the Mughal emperors who are coming after him, they must follow these points and this will. So this is Zahiruddin Babur, and his will was the king must be above the nobles and they must obey them. Noble means the rich people or the landlords. The empire should be united by understanding and tolerance, not by force. No killing of cows, no temple smashing, and no Shia Sunni quarrel should be there. So Babur believed in the unity and peace among different communities. Even he also banned the killing of cows, like the slaughter of cow which is halal for Muslims. But for him, this was the reason due to which the Hindu-Muslim conflicts can take place. Therefore, he banned the killing of cows also. And he also stated that different people should be judged according to their own community laws. Like if there is Muslim government in Muslim empire in India, but if anybody who commits crime, whether he is Christian, he is Hindu, he is Buddhist, he is Sikh, he will be punished for that crime according to his own law, what his religion says or what his community says. This was the will of Babur, which he thought will be helpful for the future emperors for establishing the empire. This is Humayun. He was the son of Babur, and after the death of Babur in 1530, he became the emperor, and he remained then by 1540. This was the time period that he remained emperor. After 1540, there was a shift of about 5 years when he fled to Iran and Sher Shah Suri ruled. Then he came back to India, and some years he ruled again. After Sher Shah Suri, he passed away or he died in a bomb blast. Then Humayun came again and he ruled. So Humayun became emperor in 1530 after the death of his father. He was 23-year-old when he took the charge of empire. Unfortunately, he was not apt and capable to control the empire, but his most of the time was in useless activities. He captured Gujarat and wasted time amusing himself. A brilliant Afghan leader Sher Shah Suri conquered Bengal. Bengal was the largest province, and capturing Bengal means that almost the Mughal Empire was in the hand of the person who captures the Bengal. Therefore, Bengal was the key and central province which was captured by Sher Shah Suri, and then Sher Shah Suri advanced. Humayun marched against Sher Shah Suri, but when he was defeated in the battle, two great battles, and then he fled to Persia. He escaped Iran. In 1555, Humayun recaptured Babur's empire after the death of Sher Shah Suri. Humayun came back with the help of his army general Bahram, and few months later Humayun died due to falling down from stairs of his library. This was what happened with Humayun. It is important for us to learn about the early Mughals so that we should know properly the reasons of decline of Mughal Empire. Therefore, it is important to learn about the forefathers of the later Mughals who caused the decline of Mughal Empire. So the end of Humayun was in 1555 when he fell down from the stairs. Then his son Akbar, he became the emperor in 1556 and he remained emperor till 1605. So Akbar ruled for a long time in India, and he ruled for a long time due to his policy of tolerance and his policy of unity among Hindus and Muslims, and his other policies which were to make the other religions happy, especially the Hindus. Akbar also married a Hindu lady just to please Hindus that the Muslims are now the relatives of the Hindus, and this was the reason that Akbar is still regarded as the Akbar the Great, because his empire continued for long time in India. Akbar came in 1556. He was only 13 years of age when he was crowned by Army General Bahram. So Army General Bahram, who was the Army General of Humayun, with whose help Humayun recaptured India, but then Humayun died unfortunately due to an accident. So Bahram actually controlled all the affairs when Akbar was the king at the age of 13. At the age of 13, he was not very clever or enough to control the empire, but the Bahram was helping out. His army chief Bahram and his mother supported him in ruling the empire. He could not read or write, but he noted important things to rule. From his forefathers, he learned how to rule. In 1556, Akbar killed his enemy Humayun after the second battle of Panipat. This was the second battle of Panipat. The first battle of Panipat was in 1525 when Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi. The second battle of Panipat was this one, in which Akbar killed Humayun in 1556, and the third battle of Panipat was when Shah Waliullah had invited Ahmad Shah Abdali to defeat Marathas and to break the power of Marathas in 1761. Okay, there were three battles of Panipat. Between 1569, 1776 and 1576, sorry, Akbar built new capital at Fatehpur Sikri. Fatehpur Sikri was near Agra and it was a beautiful place. So he established and constructed buildings over there for shifting the capital at Fatehpur Sikri. But there was water shortage afterwards, therefore Babur had to leave. the Fatehpur Sikri, and then Babur returned to his previous capital of the empire, Akbar. Sorry, these are the reforms of Akbar. As I have told you that the rule of Akbar was longer, therefore there were so many policies which had been introduced by Emperor Akbar. His beliefs were very different. He tried to make empire better, richer and peaceful and just. He tried to establish real Indian culture rather than imposing alien culture. Any alien culture like the culture of other, countries, other community. Here he means that the Muslim culture was also alien to the Indians. Therefore, Muslim culture should not be promoted in India, but the Hindu culture was the old culture. Therefore, no any alien culture, whether this is Muslim culture, should not be imposed in Hindu society. He also believed that people of different races and cultures should live together as equal. So it means that he did never care whatever religion any person belongs to, but he thought that the people should live peacefully and happily. There were some military reforms. Akbar introduced the system of Mansabdari, in which he appointed the army officers and army soldiers to see the to collect the taxes from landlords and to control the areas. The administrative policies were that he divided his empire in 15 provinces, and the governor was appointed head of each province. He appointed judges who tried the Muslims and Hindus according to their own religious laws, and he also termed as that he was Allah's representative. Akbar formulated a new religion which name was Deen-e-Ilahi. Therefore, he called himself the representative from Allah, or he was titled as Zille-Ilahi. Zille-Ilahi means shadow of Allah. It was the worst form of belief which Akbar had, but unfortunately he did this, and for this reason he called all the religious scholars from different religions, and then he tried to unite all the religious scholars. Then in finance, the tax officials are appointed to collect taxes. Taxes are imposed on land and production of crops. Tax official also advised farmers to grow high value crops. He built new roads, trees, houses and other things. And he built mints. Mints are the places where coins and the notes, rupees are manufactured. His religious policies were that he tried to bring Muslim and Hindus closer, encouraged Muslims to marry Hindu women. He forbade killing of cows, the same what Babur did. He abolished jizya tax to make Hindus happy, and the tax on Hindu pilgrimage also was removed. Destruction of Hindu temples was made a crime. Hindus were given high position in government and army. He stopped tradition of sati, child marriage and killing of baby girls. He held religious talks with other religious scholars of Hinduism, Jainism, Christianity and Zoroastrianism. The Parsis are the Zoroastrianism religion is the Parsis follow this religion. 1582 he began a new religion, Deen-e-Ilahi. He declared himself Allah's representative. So this was what the Akbar did. Now the son of Akbar, Jahangir, he is also called Salim. He became emperor after the death of his father Akbar. Jahangir came to the throne in 1605 after his father Akbar's death. He was not controversial like his father, and Jahangir's. Why the word controversial has been used here? Because the Muslims did never like Akbar. The reason we have discussed that Akbar was favoring Hindus more. He was convincing the Muslims to marry the Hindu girls also, and he removed taxes from Hindus also. So therefore the Muslims, and in his court there was influence of Hindus more. The Hindus were given high ranks in the court of Akbar. Therefore the Muslims did not like Akbar, and many Muslims they started to hate Akbar. But Akbar did not have threat from the Muslims, but he had threat from Hindus. Actually, Hindus were in majority, therefore he wanted Hindus to be his friend. So Babur was not controversial, like Akbar. Jahangir was not controversial, and Jahangir's son Khusro led a rebellion against him, but he was defeated. Jahangir also killed the leader of Sikh Guru Arjun. He defeated Afghan nobles at Bengal. He lost Kandahar to the king of Persia and fought a long battle in Deccan. His wife Nurjan was also very ambitious lady, and she also helped him to rule. Works of his wife Nurjan were of work of Jahangir were there, like he tried to please Muslims by banning the sale of alcohol. He reduced taxes on people. He married 7 Hindu girls to please Hindus. He was great lover of art and architecture and poetry. He was great expert in painting. He promoted blend of Indian and Persian style architecture. His wife Nurjan took control in her hands and appointed relatives in government. She signed the laws of government by herself. She carved her name on the coin and she did great charitable works. But she spent a lot of money without any reason and uselessly just to show her authority and her power. Shah Jahan, the son of Aurangzeb, became Shah Jahan, the son of Jahangir, became emperor after Jahangir. He became emperor in 1627 after his father's death. He was a wise ruler, and his empire was extremely peaceful and rich. He married his cousin Mumtaz Mahal, whom she loved a lot, and for her he constructed Taj Mahal also. In 1657, he became seriously ill, and his 4 sons fought with each other for throne. These 4 sons were Aurangzeb, Dara Shikoh, Shah Shuja, and Murad. These were fighting, and Aurangzeb finally won the battles, and he became the emperor after his father, Shah Jahan. Aurangzeb, it is said that Aurangzeb also imprisoned his father Shah Jahan in jail so that his father could not announce his any one of the brother as the emperor. So therefore, it was the reason that Shah Jahan was put in prison by Aurangzeb. And let's talk about the works of Shah Jahan as a great leader. That how did Shah Jahan rule? And the achievement of works of Shah Jahan were that he was interested in art, music, literature, jewels, and architecture. He got peacock throne with precious stones with cost 10 million rupees. Like he got a throne constructed which name was peacock throne. Throne means the chair for his sitting. It was made of gold with diamonds and gemstones studded in it, and its shape was of like a peacock. Therefore, this was called peacock throne. It was taken away by the Persian leader Nadir Shah in Persia. Shah Jahan also maintained peace in Deccan in 1632. Deccan was famous for Marathas, therefore there was disruption and there was problem in Deccan. So Shah Jahan tried to maintain the peace in Deccan in 1632. He seized Kandahar in 1638. He got famous Taj Mahal constructed in the memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. He was tolerant to other religious groups. He started persecuting Christians after 1632 when Portuguese traders held 2 slave girls of his wife. So therefore he started persecuting Christians. There was a Christian colony in Goa of India where Portuguese were living. So he tried to persecute and torture the Portuguese. The reason is written there. He ordered to destroy Hindu temples, and 76 of them were destroyed in Banaras. These were the works what Shah Jahan did. And after Shah Jahan, his son Aurangzeb became emperor. His time period was from 1658 till 1706. He was also one of the emperors who had the longest term, and Shah Jahan was a pious and religious minded person. Aurangzeb was the governor at Deccan when his brother Dara Shikoh and Shuja took control and Murad Bakhsh declared independence. Aurangzeb marched towards north to defeat his brother's army and he defeated almost all of them and he became emperor. Aurangzeb's policies were very famous. His military expedition was there. He defeated Assamese during 1664-1666. He also defeated Afghan and Sikh rebels. He fought with the Rajputs. He also captured Muslim states of Bejapur and Golconda. He defeated Marathas leader Shivaji in south. This was a great achievement. His financial and economic reforms include abolishment of transport duty and abolishing un-Islamic taxes which were imposed by the previous Mughal emperors. He reimposed jizya tax which was taken back by Akbar, and the custom duties were also reimposed and 5% on Hindus and 2.5% on Muslims. So he was more with Muslims, his policies were favorable for the Muslims, and therefore he made this great achievement. The financial and economic reforms about Aurangzeb were that he abolished transport duty and sale tax on the good brought to the cities for sale. He also abolished un-Islamic taxes. He also abolished un-Islamic taxes. He reimposed jizya tax due to the rebellions from Hindus and Rajput and Marathas. Custom duties were reimposed. 5% of Hindus and 2.5% on Muslims. For Muslims, the custom duties were reduced. The religious reforms of Aurangzeb were that he banned gambling, alcohol, and planting of drug, and he appointed officers to implement Islamic laws. He banned all the music except royal band of the emperor, which was for the majestic show of the Mughal emperor whenever Mughal emperor used to go outside from his palace. He discouraged poetry, festivals, and paintings, encouraged Islamic writing style, Islamic and building many schools and colleges for Islamic education. He banned traditional show off for the emperor to the public. He performed religious duties also and copied the Quran in his own handwriting. It is stated that he never took any salary from the government, from the empire, but he used to write the copies of Holy Quran and he earned money from this. A minimal amount he used to earn. His life was very simple. So this was the account of the early Mughal emperors, and now these are the later Mughal emperors who you can see in this image. And let's talk about the later Mughals. Who were the later Mughals who came? There is the list of later Mughal. It is not important to learn about each one of them. This is not in our syllabus. But in our next lecture, we will discuss the decline reasons and the reasons of the decline of Mughal Empire. These later Mughals were Bahadur Shah. Bahadur Shah I, who was the son of Aurangzeb. He was an old man, about 70 plus years when he became emperor, but he remained only 4 to 5 years. Then Jahandar Shah was there, Farrukh Sayyar was there, Muhammad Shah was the emperor, Ahmad Shah was emperor, Alamgir II was emperor, Shah Jahan III, and Shah Alam II was emperor. Shah Alam II was at the time of Shah Waliullah, and then Akbar Shah II was emperor, and then Bahadur Shah II, he was also called Bahadur Shah Zafar, was the last emperor who was arrested by the British in 1857 during the War of Independence. And this was what we have discussed today. Hopefully you have understood each and everything from today's topic. Inshallah, see you in the next topic. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.